Hello and welcome. I'm the awful chef. Want to eat? So I'd better cook something. How's that for amazing thought? So, I live in the California mountains, and it's truly a wonderful day, and birds are singing la 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 la. But at the end of the day, we need to keep in mind one thing. Up here we have trees. What else have we got? Trees. Yeah. I live in a town so small it's not called a town. It's called a population center by the United States Census. We are fortunate enough to have city provided, population center provided running water. Most of the time we have electricity, and a lot of the time we have some sort of internet. It's kind of iffy sometimes. What does that mean? That means that we're all preppers to some degree up here, because when the power goes out in the winter, you either freeze to death or you have an alternative. So today, we are dealing with a prepper pantry issue. Canned chicken. Sounds like the grace of God, doesn't it? Oh, chicken in a can. Nothing to worry about. It's all wonderful. Yeah, and then what do you do with it? How many chicken sandwiches can you eat? My wife tells me she can eat them for the rest of her life. So, I'm experimenting tonight. We are trying to make an Asian dish, I will not say Chinese, using canned chicken. So here are our vegetables, all important. Basically, green onions, a Serrano Chilli, a heck of a lot of garlic, and some chopped up ginger roots. Here we have a can of chicken that has been drained and tossed with a little bit of cornstarch. The thing to keep in mind is that that chicken has already been cooked. And so that's what makes it challenging. Here we have a sauce mixture of soy sauce, brown sugar, and cornstarch. We also have a healthy swig of sake to go with that. We prefer the unfiltered variety in this house. And some sesame oil. A lot of this stuff you actually can find at your local market. The oil's getting hot, pardon me. So, let's give you all a good dose of motion sickness there as I adjust the camera angle so you can actually potentially see me cook. There we are. That's a little better. Now, before we begin, I will be serving this with rice, and there's one pernicious evil in this world. Washing rice. I know. Washing rice takes approximately, I think it's something like a quarter of the world's drinkable water. So there are other ways to do it than the old-fashioned style. So first, cooking rice. The instructions are on the package. You got a pan, you got a pot with a lid, you can do it. It's that hard, I know. I'm using a rice cooker because I'm feeling lazy. But getting back to the important thing. Take an amount of rice, whatever amount you're going to cook, put it in here, run it under running water. Do not let it sit. If you let it sit, it will absorb the water, and your rice won't come out right because your water amounts will be off. So, magic tool for washing rice, this under the tap. Let the water move through. Do not do pot after pot after pot of fresh water. In this particular case, the rice I'm using says 2 amounts of water to 1 amount of rice. Yeah, it's that hard. Picked up a rice cooker at a thrift store. Best investment ever. Okay, dinner. Yeah, we got trees. Gourmet food around here involves going to the golf course, which amazes me that we got one, for a hamburger. Yeah. Yeah. I'm used to San Francisco. I used to run around and I'd go to one restaurant, the woman looked at me and say, I know exactly what you want for dinner. And make me food. Didn't have to order, and it was always something insane that made everybody at the office jealous because I'd go to work smelling so wonderful. Okay, Chinese food. Chinese style cooking. One of my favorite cuisines. So, canned chicken, improvised wok, and camera angle that won't show you anything. There we go. Yes, I'm thinking of upgrading my production equipment someday. So, chicken. Golden rule, that chicken is already cooked. This needs to be a very quick process. You can hear the sizzling. There's a fair amount of very hot oil in there. Our goal is to brown this chicken, which has already been cooked, very quickly. And because I was talking instead of cooking, I let my oil get cold. Okay, ta-da! Now, if I were doing this authentically, I'd have a wok, of course, and it would be very hot. But I've discovered that woks and electric stoves don't work out very well. I have a Wolfgang Puck wok that is theoretically designed to do this, but it won't go fully hot enough to do it properly. Okay. So, there is a basic methodology to Chinese cooking, or Asian style cooking I have discovered on the internet. Ow, that's hot. In which you cook the meat, typically remove it, cook the vegetables, throw the meat back in, and then cook the sauce. In this case, I'm trying it without removing the meat. The meat's going to basically turn to goo. I'm sorry, but it's canned chicken. Expecting it to retain texture just is not a realistic thing. Hardest part of cooking, leaving it alone. I need to harvest some basil anyway for tonight's dish, which I have not done because I'm feeling very tired tonight. Yes, look at me, sexy, sexy, picking my basil. Ooh, I am the awful chef. I'm called that for a reason. Now, because I'm cooking for two, I'm using less basil than recommended. Ooh, that's starting to smell very nice. As you can imagine, the serrano pepper is, of course, adding some heat to this. Let's see if we can bring this over and get you a shot of that. Yes, the chicken is still very, very white. Okay. So, because that is cooked, let's go ahead and add some sake. Oh yeah. Take the pan off the heat. This is universal when adding alcohol to a pan. You do not want flames. You'll notice how peacefully that took place. Put that over the heat. Let the alcohol slowly boil off. Look, no fire. So while that cooks down, I will slowly stir the cornstarch, soy sauce, and brown sugar mixture. I actually want that to cook down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. What I want to do is reach a point where I can draw the spatula across the pan and leave a dry trail, or at least a reasonably dry trail. You can see the heat is on fairly high. The sake, of course, adds a lot of sugars to this, as well as the complexity of any alcohol. Okay. Now we will add... Oh, I dropped the basil leaf. Ooh, that's a little hot, isn't it? Lesson number 1 of controlling heat on an electric stove. Take it off the heat if it starts boiling too much. I want to remind you to always wash everything. Because even at Trader Joe's, they occasionally find a lizard in the pre-washed lettuce. That's not a joke. Okay, we are creating a very nice, dark, thanks to the soy sauce, caramelized, thanks to the brown sugar, dish. No, it does not look like the picture in the cookbook because I'm using canned chicken. It is, however, going to be thoroughly wonderful over rice. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if we can do this properly. No, of course not. So what I was trying to show you is that the spatula will leave a trail now. The sauce is thickened due to the cornstarch and the brown sugar. Oh, and it is starting to smell very much like Chinese, well, Asian food. So, burner off. The Western technique is not to cook the flavor out of certain ingredients. So a little bit of sesame oil at the last, off heat, to preserve its flavor. And with that, I have a thoroughly acceptable chicken dish using canned chicken. And at the last part, the very last part, as I throw the very expensive raw basil leaves on the floor, is to throw in fresh basil. And now, at the risk of showing you the horribly dirty floor in my kitchen, let's try this. Oh, you can see the dirt. You can see the dirt. You also can see a very nice dish that looks very similar to some of the takeout I've had in the past and enjoyed very much. And it will be wonderful over rice. Oh, look, you can see my pedicure. So, to recap, rice. Don't wash it the traditional way, use a strainer. Use a lot less water. To cook it, follow the instructions on the packet. I know, it sounds dumb, but apparently it's a big issue. Or you can use a rice cooker, just make sure you get the water and the rice to the right proportions, which is easier if you wash it with a strainer and let it dry a little. The dish. Canned chicken. Yippee, it worked. I'm surprised. Let's see, what did I throw in? Ginger. Yes, you can use the stuff out of the tube. A boatload of garlic, which cooked up very nicely and very quickly. Some green onions, and a serrano pepper to add that kick. Cook all of that up. Throw in a mix of soy sauce, cornstarch, and brown sugar. Yes, a lot of the Asian-style dishes I'm discovering, the secret is simply soy sauce and brown and sugar. Sometimes brown, sometimes white. Almost always brown. And cornstarch. A heck of a lot of sake, which evaporated. Let's see, some sesame oil. And some fresh basil at the end. Yeah, you can do it. The thing about cooking out of the prepper pantry with Asian ingredients is that they last a long time. And so, it's cheap, it's fast. You saw a single burner cooking tonight. And that's about it. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this with some rice, and that's it. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh. Don't forget to subscribe. Or at least give me a like. YouTube has crazy rules, and if I'm going to stay alive, I got to follow them, which means I need subscribers and likes. Yes. Please provide social approval for me. Otherwise, YouTube will decide I'm a social outcast.